Alright guys, so before I upload this video, I'm going to upload my encounter at Walmart. They had a guy at the door and he didn't let you in without mask. But guess who went in and got everything they needed? This guy. Alright, but this video is one I've looked forward to because it's silly, the things that people believe. So this is my video about aliens. And it won't take long at all because it's foolishness. This isn't hard to figure out. Alright, first we should tell you about the only real aliens, and that's foreigners. The final alien invasion wasn't about beings coming down from the sky. It's about an invasion from another country. It's people. And so, when dealing with extraterrestrial type aliens, I want to start off with this question. If you hadn't been told by the TV and seen it on the TV, or if someone hadn't said it to you who had also seen it on the TV, would it make sense to you that beings come from the sky? Would that ever cross your mind at any point in your life? Would you ever think and logically think that metal ships come from the sky with people in them that aren't like you? Now, do you think about it? I don't need the answer. Have you ever witnessed that? Or anything even remotely close to that in your personal experience? Because that's what you're supposed to focus on. Your personal experience. Alright. You don't need to worry about the world. God is in full control of everything, and He wishes you peace. Focusing on the world will never bring you peace. Never. It feeds you fear and nothing more. And this isn't about the natural world, but society. The natural world is amazing. It's wondrous and it's beautiful. That's exactly what you're supposed to rise above, though. The nature of the flesh. Its needs are illusory. Now, many people, and this is just where to start, many people say that NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. And I can't prove that. I've tried. But personally, I just don't believe anything men say. Men who speak truth are easily recognizable, and I've yet to see one who is that works for the government in its entirety. Very rarely do you come across one that is transparent. We're not going to bother much with NASA. What we're going to do is discuss aliens. But NASA, as far as we know, has never stated that aliens are real. Though they are clearly leading up to that moment, and they did say that they went to the moon. And that is an obvious falsehood. And if you think that I'm wrong here, that they did go to the moon, then prove it. Don't prove it to me. Prove it to yourself. Find the tapes that they had to delete because of budget shortages, even though they get billions of dollars a year. Whatever. So we can go ahead and say NASA's a fraud. It's that simple. NASA produces $50 worth of Photoshop. By their own admission, the man who painted the blue marble photo said that he painted it the colors he thought it should look, and that he made it look how people expected it to. And you can find that video on YouTube if you want to. It's not hid. Okay, so I guess we will spend a few minutes on NASA, now that the creative juices are flowing, so to speak. Think about that. That's important. I don't think this stuff out, right? I just meditate and I clear my mind, and then I sit in front of the old Chromebook here, and I ask the Father to anoint the message if it aligns with His will, which is to bring you all peace. And that's what I try to do. Let you know you have nothing to fear. That's my goal. So NASA is used every 3 years as a political tool, and it is, to get support for the candidate that the system chooses. Rarely is there a difference between candidates. If you think that if Hillary had won, things would be different, tell me how. There's a virus, and there's lockdowns all over the country. People are wearing masks. Everybody's at each other's throats. I don't think that there would have been a difference. The only difference is it would have been a female, presumably, who was the president. But really, how much worse could it get? And I know that it could get really worse. Really, really, really worse. But from like a socio-economical standpoint, how much worse could it really get? Like beef is over $5 a pound right now. All right. NASA is the CIA drug funneling money. It's the money that the Black Ops programs use. Let me ask you this. How did a war in Afghanistan start where 99% of the world's heroin is produced? And then when we withdraw troops from Afghanistan, there's a heroin epidemic in the streets. How? Use logic. Those two are one and the same. All right. Just recently, people began noticing all the crisis actors. Same funds. Same funds. The money that was paid to the rioters, same funds. The group of people who placed skids of bricks in front of buildings, same funds. NASA is a front for international public relations programs and schemes. You really think that a group of people took over a city in Minnesota, right? Forcefully took over Chop Chaz, what nonsense you want to call it, but they didn't know how to start a garden. How'd that work? How did they not have enough common sense to plant tomato seeds, but they took over a city? Now, back to what we were talking about here. Trump created a space force. And I believe personally that the point of that was because NASA is a front for all the PR campaigns that they do. Now that money is on the books. And whatever the reason may be for that, that just makes the most sense to me. The government is not for you. It hasn't been for a long time. But we got to get to the point here. We'll start with the easiest thing. And this right here you don't need to argue with this. You can look at it from 100 angles if you want, but you may as well just accept it. First fact, right? When metal is molten, it loses its magnetic properties. That's not negotiable. That's a fact. And a good example is swords. When people make swords, they are heated to an extremely high temperature so that the steel can be shaped. And they are tested with a magnet. And when it's hot enough to shape, it has no magnetic properties. It doesn't pull the magnet. So, this tells us that there is no core inside the Earth. They tell us that the Earth gets its magnetic properties from the core rotating the ball of molten nickel and such. If it was molten, it wouldn't be magnetic. Just something to think about. Alright, this is a fact. Period. Next thing we're going to do is take a look at our temporary home here. The Earth. The one you're supposed to subdue. You're not supposed to conform. You're supposed to subdue. You're supposed to defeat this place, not succumb to its bonds. But let's look at the absurdity of the things NASA tells us. And I want to clarify here that I am not saying the Earth is flat, but I am saying that what most people believe it to be is wrong. Basically, what I'm going to do is give you NASA's information and using that prove to you that it just is nonsense. The alien part of it. Alright, so here's what NASA tells us about the Earth, right? It chases behind the sun and it moves at over 540,000 miles per second. Not hour. 540,000 miles per second. So, any aliens that were at far enough to see the Earth and it would not just zoom by in a flash would have to move faster than 540,000 miles per second to catch up to us. And that's quite a feat in itself, it would seem. Now we got to look at the rotation and wobble. Rotation is 1,037 miles per hour. Spinning. While at the North and the South Pole, there's no spin. It's, you get it. And the wobble is seasonal. So, aliens would have to see us from a distance far enough to notice us, but us not fly by in less than the blink of an eye. And they would have to travel faster than that. to catch us. And then they would have to locate a landing point that's moving more than 1,000 miles per hour, and they would have to synchronize with that landing point while still moving behind the sun at 540,000 miles per, more than 540,000 miles per hour. All right. Now, I kind of got ahead of myself here. Now, this is the part that makes me laugh about the whole idea, and it's what I just said. After catching us at 540,000 miles per hour, they would have to choose a landing spot on something that is rotating and wobbling, and they would have to continue chasing behind the sun while they followed that one spot around the earth. Like, seriously, guys. And can you even imagine that motion in a craft moving in just those two ways? Because it would wobble too, you know? Now, maybe they land in winter, maybe summer. They wouldn't know, because everything on the planet is going to be alien to them. That was a joke. So, they're going to come from somewhere unimaginably far, just based on the speed that we move. And they're going to spiral around us and descend into an atmosphere that will be made of elements that may not even exist in the galaxy where they come from. You dig? And they're going to do this, chase us down, follow us, pick their spot to land, and then, go in circles. And not a single person alive ever is going to see them do it. And that's all I'm going to say on this. Like, nothing more needs to be said. But there is other stuff you could laugh at about it. And that's the end of this video. Next, I could probably do gravity, which is just as laughable. Gravity is the name they gave to a set of laws that are electrical and magnetic in nature. One object does not head towards another. Both objects move towards a null point in counter space, which is another video. And they call it gravity and stuff just so that you don't get that. I personally think that some of the things on Earth were here from creation. The pyramids, the Sphinx, all that stuff. God put those here himself when he created this place. And he did that as a reminder of his greatness and for us to marvel at, because a lot of it's really beautiful. But if that isn't the case, those things were built with magnetics. There's no doubt about it. Not electricity, because electricity, it shocks and then disappears. It fades away. Magnetics, though, is give and take. It's reciprocal. So magnetics is what would have done it. You know who Edward Leedskin is? The guy that built Coral Castle in Florida single-handedly, they say. He actually published a book, and never ever did I hear about it. But I went looking and I found it. If need be, I can give you a link to the PDF. But you could just Google it probably now and find it. And it's called Magnetic Current. Google it. Find the PDF. Read it. Magnetism is the key to many, many mysteries. So, maybe that's what I'll do next. But the one thing that you need to know is that if you have a bar, right, and it's magnetic, it's not a magnet. It is made of something that is magnetic. Magnets are inside of it. The piece that you stick to shit, that's not the magnet. The magnets are little bitty particles inside of it that travel and reciprocate, north to south, south to north, same way your body does. All right, but aliens, right? That's just silliness. There's no aliens. There's never going to be an alien. Project Bluebeam and shit, like even that's not going to be aliens. There's no aliens. There's just you and your creator in this magnificent world that he put you in, that you hide from because men told you to. Love you guys. I'll see you soon.